not just surviving. I'm still new to doing my YouTube live streams here. I'm a TikToker most of the time, so I'm used to doing that. But I am figuring out things with YouTube the more and more that I do it. So I appreciate y'all's patience. Let's get into everything because we have a lot to talk about. And I'm not going to be on for too long, but I do want to talk about Donald Trump attempting to eliminate the Department of Education. I say attempting because you can't really do that as the president. He does not have the authority to eliminate the Department of Education. So that's why I say attempting. It's like he eliminated the Department of Education. As president, in order to actually accomplish that, you need to need to go through Congress. Sorry, I'm still getting set up here. I always do my live streams in my car. So hello everyone. Hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. I see a couple of you popping in here. Hello! I'm so used to doing live streams on TikTok, but I'm really excited that I'm going to be doing more live streams here. So I wanted to briefly talk about this as a little synopsis. Ooh, that was a coffee burp. So if you're a new viewer, by the way, say hello and where you're tuning in from. I like to get to know new viewers. Y'all are awesome. So let's talk about it. Donald Trump signed this executive order attempting to eliminate the Department of Education. First off, in order to actually eliminate the Department of Education, he needs to get approval from Congress, which requires that it to be passed through the House and the Senate. Well, it might pass the House, but it's probably not going to pass the Senate because you would need 60 votes, a supermajority, in order for it to pass. And it's likely not going to. That all being said, it doesn't mean that he's not going to try. Now, this all happened yesterday. I don't know what time yesterday, but he used kids in his stunt. Now, I wanna just read this here. So this is from Al Jazeera. On Thursday, the Republican leader held an elaborate ceremony to sign an executive order that would set in motion the department's demise, using children as props. A semicircle of children was arranged in desks around the president, with each of their own version of the executive order to sign. When Trump uncapped his marker to sign the order, the children followed suit. When he lifted up the completed order, so did the children. And I just want to give you a picture of what that looks like here. He's basically using kids as props to do what he's doing. I find that kind of usage of kids really sick. Like, it's just gross to me. I don't like it when, I don't care regardless of your political affiliation. I think that using kids in particular as props is really low. It's really low. Now, I'm just going to say into the future, these kids are going to be like, oh, yeah, I was one of those kids that was brainwashed into signing or into being a part of the ceremony to dismantle the Department of Education. And I say dismantle because Trump does not have the authority to eliminate the Department of Education. Again, he needs to go through Congress and have congressional approval to get it done. But does this guy follow the rules? No, he's literally disobeying judges all the time. He's like, well, I don't want to agree with the judges. I don't like what the judges have to say. I am the final judge. You know, let me get out my hands. My impression is not done unless I have the hands. Look, my hands might be small. They might be small, but they do big things. Big things. Let me tell you, bing bong bing, I signed the Department of Education away. DOE stands for dumb, ostensible, Energizer Bunny. I don't know. That all being said, let's dive a little bit more into this. Now, the federal government, for those people who do not know, one myth that a lot of people don't know, the federal government does not have the authority. They do not have the responsibility. They do not mandate the curriculum that is taught in schools. They don't. They don't. The curriculum is dictated by the state. It's by the state. You do not have the federal government saying what you have to teach. That's not how it works. So, I see some people popping in here. Love from me, hello. Vash, what does that say? Vansh, Vansh, that's a very interesting name, Ismail, hello. So, yeah, that's what they're all about. Think of the children! But then when it comes to things that actually affect them, they're just like, yeah, right? Oh, protect the children! Protect the children! Not from child hunger, not from guns, from gay people! And, geez Louise, that book that's gonna teach them about things. Yeah, it's crazy. But the reason I wanted to start with this, the federal government does not mandate curriculum in schools. It's not responsible for it. That's up to local and state governments, which also provide 90% of funding to schools. Nevertheless, at the White House, Trump repeated his campaign promise to send education back to the states. Education is very much already back at the states. You're like, well, what does the Department of Education do? You're like, I'm so glad that you asked. Let me tell you what the Department of Education actually does. They do not set curriculums. What they do instead is they actually help fund low-income school districts. That's what the Department of Education does. They oversee programs for Pell Grants for low-income students to attend university. They also help fund programs to support students with disabilities. They also fund programs to provide assistance, federal grants and assistance, to low-income school districts. Literally, the Department of Education is less than 2% of the federal budget. Less than 2% of the federal budget. And these people are like going after this spending as waste, fraud, and abuse. There's a difference between waste, fraud, and abuse and spending. There is a difference. I can spend money on something, doesn't make it waste, fraud, and abuse. I can spend money on a coffee so that I am not super tired. That's not waste, fraud, and abuse. Spending does not equal waste, fraud, and abuse. Waste, fraud, and abuse is things that you don't need. Can you spend money on things you don't need? Sure. But right now, the government is going through, and Elon Musk, Doge, all of this, they're going through, and they're like, oh, this is spending. Not all spending is fraud. Some spending is good. Specifically, if it helps low-income students. Like, that's really what the Department of Education does. The bulk of the Education Department's budget is made of federal grant and loan programs, including the $18.4 billion Title I program that provides funding to high-poverty K-12 schools, and the $15.5 billion IDEA program that helps cover students and education costs for folks with disabilities. So, if you're trying to rid the government of whatever woke policies, I guess you're then taking away money from low-income students. You're really sticking it to the libs by defunding schools in rural areas, probably in red states, might I add. Like, yeah, you're really sticking it to those libs, just completely gutting the funding for students with disabilities. Like, let's just point out that a lot of schools that are in rural red areas, I live in North Carolina, a lot of rural red areas tend to also be more low income. You want to talk about DEI? You know what that includes? Also low income people. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. They only focus on diversity and inclusion. When we also look at equity, equity specifically deals with economic justice. There are lots of low-income, very rural, red parts of this country. When they hear DEI, DEI includes you, MAGA. It does. It does. Like, if you are a low-income, rural Republican voter who is struggling, whose school is struggling to raise money and get enough money from whatever state, gutting the Department of Education is literally stabbing yourself in the foot. It's dropping an anvil on your foot, like in those cartoons. Like, so the Department of Education, what they do not mandate curriculum. They don't mandate what to teach in schools. They are just the federal government's way of providing resources for the lowest income, poverty, highest poverty K-12 schools. And also money for students with disabilities. They also oversee the student loan program. So the Department of Education, eliminating it, what it does is it guts education spending in this country. And again, Republicans are on this weird power trip where they think that anything that is spending is fraud. So if I spend money on something, it's fraud. That's what Republicans are trying to make you think. Any sort of spending is fraud. That's what they're trying to mentally do. So if the government spends money on providing housing assistance to low-income people, that's fraud. Now, I don't think that many Republican voters actually think that all spending is fraud, but that's what Republicans are saying these days. They're saying that any sort of spending is fraud. No, the government works when we pour our tax dollars as citizens in it, and they spend it. Now, if you want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse really comes in when certain companies receive huge handouts from the government for their own private gain. You know who's the chief person that ever does all of that kind of crap? Elon Musk. He gets $4 million a day, personally, like through the contract that he has with the federal government. So I don't want to hear people getting angry about spending for Medicaid, spending for the Department of Education. That's not the fraud in this country. The fraud is the handout to wealthy corporations. The fraud are the subsidies for oil and gas companies when they already make hand over fist profits. The fraud is when we subsidize chemical companies like Monsanto that continue to make our food less nutritious and stick it to us to make us pay for that. Like, it's so infuriating that these Republicans are brainwashing their own voters. And y'all fall for it. The right wing falls for it every single time, clapping like seals. It's unbelievable. So, gutting the Department of Education does nothing to actually help anything. It's not going to raise test scores. It's not going to give more money to schools. In fact, it does quite the opposite. See, some of these Republicans are saying, oh, it gives us more money to the schools. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Like, it doesn't give money to the schools at all. So, I appreciate every single one of you. Is anyone new here? I'm starting out by doing more live streams on YouTube. I usually do them on TikTok, but I'm trying out a couple different times. Sorry, one of my alarms went off. I hope that's hope you all are thriving. So, you think it's because knowledge is power and students knowing the truth is a danger? You know, it is possible. You know, some countries don't want their populations to be educated because then they start to take power into their own hands. I'm new to the live streams, but I've seen a few videos. Well, hello. I'm loving this energy here. Have my subscription and take care of yourself. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. I usually do stuff on TikTok, so I'm definitely one of these people who does lots of live streams on TikTok. But since that app is going through in a whole identity crisis, and I really wish this wouldn't. I'm in my car, by the way. I like to do my live streams in my car, so. But I'm trying to shift over to different platforms because, TikTok is wild. It is wild. TikTok is the wild west of the internet. So, anyway. So, I want to go a little bit deeper here. Donald Trump signs executive order to eliminate the Department of Education. He can't do that. He can't do that. He's using children as props in the meantime, as you can see here. These children are going to grow up, and they're going to watch back at this video, and they're like, yeah, I was a part of one of those controlled children that was used as props to abolish the Department of Education. And the reason I say abolish or eliminate in air quotes is because the president can't just unilaterally eliminate an agency. That's not how it works. You can't just go and say, I don't like this department, we're abolishing it. You cannot just say, oh, we're going to eliminate the Department of Agriculture. You can't do that. In order to eliminate an actual agency, a whole department, you have to get congressional approval. And sure, if you get that, then fine, whatever. That's stupid, but you have to go through Congress to get it done. But Donald Trump does whatever he wants to do, and doesn't matter if it goes against the Constitution. Literally, Donald Trump is our founding father's worst nightmare. because he just goes through and just wrecks the whole way the system is set up to do the balance where each branch of government checks each other. When you give one branch way more authority, way more power, it basically makes everything unstable in our country. That's where we're on the verge of a constitutional crisis. And by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, they're like, oh yeah, abolish the Department of Education. First off, stop listening to your right-wing news source and actually ask yourself and listen, what does the Department of Education do? They do not oversee curriculum. You're like, oh, but I was told that. You were lied to. The Department of Education does not oversee whatever woke transgenderism that you were told by Michael Knowles or some sort of right-wing grifter. The Department of Education does not set different standards for what is taught in schools. Instead, the Department of Education, their primary thing is to provide the bulk of money, the money that they use goes to low-income school districts, high-poverty K-12 school districts. That's what it does. The bulk of the Education Department is made up of federal grant and loan programs, including $18.4 billion in Title I programs that provides funding to high-poverty K-12 schools. And also $15.5 billion in IDEA program that helps cover educational costs for students with disabilities. If that is something you think is waste, fraud, and abuse, like, you're cruel. Listen, there are huge disparities. There are huge problems when it comes to equal access to education. A lot of those problems also happen in red states. Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, my home state of North Carolina. A lot of these like rural red states have low-income rural areas that their students really struggle. You know what the Department of Education does? It identifies the lowest income, the highest poverty areas, and specifically gives them a little bit more tender love and care. So someone said, shame on you for making fun of children. Shame on you for literally abolishing their funding for their schools, supporting a guy doing that. Have the day you deserve, friend. Have the day you deserve. You're deliberately not listening to me, but that's fine. Faceless commenters on the internet. Y'all are the real courageous people. So like the big thing I just wanted to point out here is there's low income rural areas of the United States. Now I live in a more urban populated center. So is this going to affect me? No. Am I still in school? No. I graduated from college a couple years ago. You're like, well, why do you care so much? Because you're taking away money and funding for kids with disabilities, schools that need that money because they're in low-income, poverty-stricken areas. You're like, well, it doesn't affect you. Why do you care? Something called empathy. You should get some. You should get some. When you see injustice against a group of people, just because it doesn't affect you, are you supposed to roll over and say, oh, well, it doesn't affect me. I'm fine. No. No. As a human, you should feel some sort of empathy to do something. To do something when you see injustice. So, abolishing the Department of Education, I don't have student loans. Thankfully, I never had to get student loans. Abolishing the Department of Education, also what this does is it makes it unclear what's going to happen to the future of people's student loans. Let me just read you some comments from some people that there was like an Instagram post specifically that was that I saw. And it was about this specific announcement. Let me read some of the comments here. Dismantle guns? Nope. Dismantle education? Yup. This person said, I ain't paying back my student loans. You have to keep the uneducated uneducated in order to ensure your voter base in the future. Now pause, that is the wrong spelling of ensure. It is E-N-S-U-R-E, but yeah. If not Project 2025, then why Project 2025 shaped? Fair. Well, he did say how he loves the poorly educated. And like, they were spot on with this. Spot on. Bro really said, if I can't pass, nobody can. We live in the dumbest timeline. America just gets more and more embarrassing every single day. Can't imagine what's going to happen to schools in rural areas. Yeah, 100%. 100%. these two were basically going and saying the same thing about how it's funny because the Department of Education helps decrease the educational disparities between states. Republican states consistently rank lowest in education, so this will end up harming Republican states the most. It's sad they take advantage of people who haven't had good education, voting against their own interests. And here's the thing. I'm a super, super progressive Bernie bro kind of Democrat, okay? And I'm sorry that my green screen keeps messing up here. I need to figure that out. Look, as much as I don't like, personally, a lot of these MAGA people, I am never going to vote to take away your healthcare. I am never going to vote to take away your human rights, your fundamental freedoms. We're not going to be friends, but I'm not going to be cruel. Now, I actually want you to have universal healthcare. I want you to be able to have a prosperous life and have equal access to stuff. That's what I guess makes me woke. You know, Jesus was woke, just saying. Like, that all being said, doesn't matter how many times people are going to try to vote against my interests, I'm never going to vote against your interests. Why? Because that's cruel. Sorry. I believe in doing good works when I'm here on earth. Regardless of your religion, do good works while you're here on earth. So, like, it's really sad that, and this is a whole other subject, that, like, even religion has been absolutely hijacked by, like, the far right to basically transform it into whatever propaganda machine they want. But throughout history, religion's always been used to try and control people and actually disconnected itself from what it was supposed to be. But anyway, this more comments on just Trump's attempt to dismantle the Department of Education. The star of The Apprentice ordering the former CEO and part-time owner of WWE to dismantle the Department of Education. That is absolutely something that sounds like it came out of Idiocracy, right? He's making sure he has a future voter base. Red State's gonna teach how Trump discovered America. Oh, that's good. Love to see Trumpanzees defend this one. Trumpanzee, I've never heard that. I love the poorly educated, he said. Now, I like this one. Aliens are watching this season of Earth and then it's the face and it's melting. Having kids in the back while dismantling the DOE is crazy. So, sorry about that. I had an alarm go off. Love that. I like how Trump is sitting at his own little children's desk. Yes, the most qualified person for the position, Secretary Linda McMahon, former WWE owner. So, I'm gonna cover it again, just briefly, but then I have to go here in a minute. He used kids in this stunt. It's truly a stunt, because he can't actually eliminate the Department of Education. That's not something that the president has the power to do. The president, their job is to drive the vehicle that is government. They do not make the laws. They carry out the laws. So a president can't just abolish an agency. They can't abolish a department. He can't go through and abolish the Department of Energy, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Defense. You can't do that. In order to actually do that, you have to get congressional approval first, and then the president carries out the law. The idea of executive orders is already a huge like expansion of presidential power. The more and more time, and this is from my time as a political scientist, the more and more time that America has gone on through our democracy, the more and more power we've given to a single president, regardless if that's under a Republican or a Democrat. The idea of executive orders was already a huge expansion of presidential powers. So, and it's really funny how, like, whenever and this can happen on both sides of the aisle, whenever there's like an executive order that a Republican signs, Democrats are like, this is a huge expansion of power. But then on the other side, you also have it where Democrat will sign it and Republicans are like, that's a huge expansion of power. I mean, it is for both. But this is unlike any sort of expansion we've ever seen. You can't just go through and abolish a department. That's not something you can do. You have to go through Congress and get their authorization first. So, Hold on, let me find the graphic to show it here. Hold on just a second. Here we go. So, can Trump shut down the department on his own? No, he can't. You need to go through Congress, and you need to get it past the House and a supermajority in the Senate. So you need 60 out of 100 senators. Right now, the partisan makeup is 53 to 47, broadly speaking, to independents that Bernie Sanders and Angus King that often caucus with Democrats in the Senate. So now Democrats could completely just absolutely fold the same way that they did with the last thing with Cloture and Chuck Schumer, who needs to step down. But that all being said, you have to get 53, you have to get 60 votes in order to actually abolish this department agency. Unless Republicans there are Republicans that actually stand up and say, no, this is stupid. Anyway, that all being said, also, if you're a new viewer in here, say hello and where you're tuning in from. I like to get to know people. I'm still new to trying to do TikTok lives, so bear with me. I also am recovering from a cold. Also, little joke here. I love dad jokes. How do you make a tissue dance? You put a little boogie in it. I think I'm funny. Also, I do want to, you may have been here since the start of the live, but I want to pose a question to you all. As a percentage, how much of the federal budget goes to the Department of Education? Just as a percentage, how much of our federal budget goes to the Department of Education? Comment below. In a percentage, how much money, or is it in a percentage, what allocation goes to the Department of Education? Anyone want to venture a guess before I tell you all? Anyone want to venture a guess? Anyone? Bueller. Are my comments on? He has kids surrounding him, sick. He drives the car, he can't stalk it. Yeah. I'd rather be woke than sleeping through life. You got that right, Bama. I'm guessing 5 to 10%. Okay, good guess. Anyone else want to venture a guess? How much of the federal budget goes to education as a percentage? How much of the federal budget goes to education as a percentage? Guess below, comment below, before I tell you all. Mr. Hendos is 2, or MF's Hendos is 2, 5 to 10%. I'm also curious, what do you think it should be? I'm curious, what do you think it should be? Esbamas is 2%. What percentage of the federal budget should go to education? Anyone want to, and by the way, I just want to point out that the Department of Education, they do federal funding. Most all education is state funded. So I live in the state of North Carolina. A good chunk of the funding for schools here are funded by our state. That's how it is. So when they say send education back to the states, a lot of it is already at the states. So I'm just going to go ahead, since y'all are a little bit quiet. The answer for the budget is it's less than 2%. Less than 2% of our federal budget goes to the Department of Education. Less than 2%. That, like, our defense budget is like 5 to 6 times. Actually, it's probably more like 12 times, conservatively speaking, bigger than our budget for education. Like, that's crazy. Don't you think that we should spend a little less money when it comes to handouts to wealthy military contractors, weapons contractors, and actually spend some money on education, making it worthwhile to get one? Like, we spend less than 2% of our federal budget goes to the Department of Education. Less than 2%. So for all these Republicans that are like, waste, fraud, and abuse. First off, spending does not equal waste, fraud, and abuse. Like, spending itself, reckless spending, sure. Spending to help low-income people, low-income school districts, that's not waste, fraud, and abuse. That's like, do you realize that these Republicans are absolutely being brainwashed? These MAGA people, and I'm saying this as someone who came from a MAGA family. They're being brainwashed to think that any sort of spending is reckless. Any sort of programs to help low-income people is entitlement. That's what they're brainwashed to think. You know what that is called? Cutting excessive amounts of spending. It's called austerity. Austerity is what happened after the 2008 financial crisis, where they did bailouts for Wall Street, but nickel and dimed Main Street. Austerity is when they cut benefits. They cut benefits for the hardworking people and reward the wealthy. So we're going through a period of massive austerity right now. Austerity only makes things worse. It only makes things worse. It is a nonsense solution, and they've tried to rebrand it as any sort of program to help the little guy, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your race, gender, sexuality, political affiliation, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're trying to cut any sort of spending to help low-income people, working class people. They're trying to make that equal synonymous to fraud. It's exhausting having to battle that. But when you really look at the federal budget, it's less than 2% of our federal budget actually goes to the Department of Education. And most of these Republicans think that, oh, well, they're the ones that are mandating the Green New Deal, social engineering, wokeism, gender ideology, DEI. No, the Department of Education does not set any sort of curriculum. They don't. That's not up to them. The Department of Education goes through and funds specifically the lowest income school districts, the highest poverty levels districts. Yes, that predominantly helps and provides funding for rural Republican states. That's what it does. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. So, anyone have any comments on that before I end the live stream? I appreciate every single one of you. I know I was kind of ranting a little bit on this one. I'm trying out different times. During my live stream. Yesterday I did a YouTube live stream closer towards the morning. So, anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate every single one of you. Even if you don't like me. Also, did anyone find me on TikTok and then come here? Or do you all know me from YouTube? If you know me from TikTok, just comment TikTok. And if you know me from YouTube, just comment YouTube. Oh, you can send likes. Oh, I see people doing the little hearts. Okay. I didn't realize that you can send likes on a YouTube live stream. If you know me from YouTube, just comment YouTube. And if you know me from TikTok, comment TikTok. Okay, a lot of people know me from YouTube only. So on TikTok, I have 100,000 followers, and I do a lot of stuff like this. So I'm glad that I'm getting a little YouTube family here too. Aw, love your personality. Oh, thank you, Cherry. I appreciate that. So we got a whole bunch of new friends in here, new fam. Okay. Well, I'm so glad to connect with you, SBama. Sorry, I can't read. Linda. Linda's like my fake secretary that I always kind of talk about. Linda, give me a coffee. Stat, 3 sugars, oat milk. So, YouTube only for me. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, if you're looking for like progressive political news journalism, that's what I do. I also combine political psychology a lot with what I cover. And I try to, you can disagree with my opinions, but what's not up for debate are just the objective facts. What's so dangerous about MAGA and so dangerous about the far right is that they try to take facts. They try to take facts that, oh, climate change, oh, that's up for debate. No, climate change is not, climate change is not an opinion. It is objectively happening, scientifically, measurably happening. You and I can have a debate around how to tackle climate change, how to approach it, but like objective science, data, statistics, and facts, that's not up for debate. What's up for debate is your interpretation, what you think is best, how to go forward. That's what's so dangerous about the far right. And the Democratic Party, broadly speaking, when it comes to their federal leadership, they don't know how to tackle this. They don't know how to tackle the actual fundamental flawed logic, a part of what this far right believes, but they're also so comfy with their corporate donors to not really even try and challenge the status quo of the way that money flows through Washington. So like, we need a whole new generation of people, a whole new generation of leaders that go through and really just change things up, because this country is a long way to go. Anyway, I'm running over my time here. I appreciate every single one of you. Oh, Moose, hello. Just came across your channel. Oh, thank you. You are so right. Yeah, and exactly, like, I've been doing stuff like this on TikTok for the longest time, but you know, I'm really starting to try and branch out and do more live streams over YouTube, because I don't know, it's just like a whole new realm, and I want to be able to reach everyone. Please protect your civil rights. Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate every single one of you. If you, I encourage, if you have any questions, my professional email is linked on this account. So if you have, also, really quick plug, I have my own little merchandise site. So actually, I have created my own platform called DeFi. DeFi is a political merchandise warehouse. And specifically, I've been creating a lot of merchandise about calling out Elon Musk's corruption. This is an LGBTQ owned and operated business, and we have some really, really cool stuff. I encourage you to go and look at it. If you go to my profile, back to my profile, you can click on the little link there, and it will show you DeFi's website. Of course, you don't have to get anything. Just let me know what you think. I have a whole Elon Sucks collection with, I have this here. So, and there's also hundreds of take down Tesla protests that have been happening. I'm going to one tomorrow. Oh my gosh, my alarm just went off again. I'm going to one tomorrow in North Carolina. So maybe I'll see you all there. But I have some really, really cool pieces of merchandise. So if you want to go check out DeFi, if you go to my profile and you click on the link, it will take you to the site. It's DeFi Political Gear. DeFi Political Gear. It's my own brand. A lot of the shirts are made from recycled polyester and organic cotton. And also, I've reduced the threshold for the amount of profit that I make per item, and I try to keep my prices as low as possible while not shortchanging myself. So like, my margin of profit, because I use print on demand, and I export all of the different printing and shipping and all of that to other people, my margin of profit on an item is like 20%. So I barely get anything if you actually buy stuff. But that being said, it means a lot when you all go and support my brand. Also, I have hats. If you're looking for stuff to wear to an Elon Musk protest, this is it. Like, you don't see stuff like this. I have Who Elected Elon Musk. I also have it in different styles. And I even have beanies. I have beanies, which are super, super cute. Also, I just came out with a new design that I think is pretty awesome. It's the F-Elon, which equals felon. So I think it's pretty awesome. Anyway, I'm running over my time because I need to get somewhere in 15 minutes, and it's probably a 20-25 minute drive. So as always, I run on Gay Standard Time, which is Gay Standard Time means that I'm always like 15 minutes late. It's just a joke. Anyway, I love all of you so much. Do you have stickers and car magnets? I do. I encourage that you go and check it out. I have bumper stickers. I have bumper stickers that say like having Trump voter remorse yet, and stuff like that. So, and if you want a piece of custom merchandise, then email me. I will make it for you. It's just cool establishing a community like that. So anyway, I love all of you so much. Y'all are incredible. So just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever, 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 ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye.